I keep getting ads for bison meat.
Like the animal?
Yeah. It looks, I mean, I don't even know how it looks.
It looks tasty.
But it looks like I have to order it.
I don't understand why
What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
I'm Mr. Gégé Lecoultre.
Guy buys a fucking watch, all of a sudden he changes his name. I am Michael Christie, also the artist formerly known as... You're an idiot.
Yeah, I went with the JLC. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. The biggest build-up.
Yeah.
So Michael, everyone always complains we don't do wristwatch check anymore.
Yeah.
So Michael's wearing his new Reverso.
Grand Tie. This band, you'll see it probably pop off during the video. I'm getting a new one
He's getting a new
as
band
we speak. I
in
know a
about
guy.
35 minutes. He knows a guy.
Yep.
The guy that he knows is going to rob the Theo and Harris watch shop.
Yes.
Strap shop.
Oh, both. I'll do both.
Yeah, the strap shop. I don't know. What are you going to put there? Maybe like I don't know. There's a whole bunch of...
Yeah, I don't know. Probably the most boring.
Probably the most expensive strap.
Yeah, probably.
He's going to pick up like the alligator or whatever and be like...
I'm like, does this work or no?
Do you want me to like give you money for it?
I mean, that'd be weird, right?
I'm wearing my Breguet. My Breguet. That's about it.
Boring.
Yeah, I wear this watch a lot when I'm dressed like casually more than formally.
Oh, no.
Yeah, what? Oh no! We fucking messed.
Oh, we messed up bad.
Oh, you creep! How funny is that?
That's hysterical.
Oh my god!
This is only going one way, and it's
It
not
is
good.
funny that we are so similar. We are like basically the same
Yeah, I
height,
know.
roughly the same weight.
Yep.
We were both wearing these weird Swiss watches with this blue sweater. We have the same hair.
Oh, this is
It's
horrible.
horrible.
Oh, that's hysterical.
We're all about diversity and inclusion here.
Yeah,
at
we
Theo.
really are. Our next hire will just be another us.
One of us.
Yep.
All right. So, great. What are we talking about today?
Today, the big subject is, which I will admit, after doing some reading, my view changed a little bit. Is Rolex producing scarcity, or are they enforcing scarcity? I don't know the best way to say
I
that.
have plenty of thoughts on this issue as well.
Okay, great. And this is the first edition of the new lives. So
Yes.
this is part one. The main conversation is Rolex producing scarcity? Then we are going to start leaning into supply chain issues on live 2.
Yep.
And if that makes wristwatches, Rolexes especially, obviously, the best investment in the world or the worst investment in the world.
Yes. So basically, every other live is the first of a two-part. So the next live that we release will be a continuation of this conversation.
Yes.
So that's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. All right. First subject. Go.
It's just I'm going to show you off a watch to highlight real quick. I figure we
Yeah.
could do a funky one. This isn't a funky one. This is just the Must-Stay Cartier tank in green.
I think it's funky. I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean,
I always was against the no numerals or anything on the dial. Not anymore.
yeah, green. First of all, green's my favorite color.
Yep.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like color being worked into an otherwise really classic design.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that Cartier, because now they went pretty far left field with it. They went full out green.
Yep.
I think in future iterations, it'd be really cool to see just the regular must.
Yep.
Right? With the
Yep.
white and everything, with like a green cabochon. Like the green. Like, that's
Yes,
cool.
that would be sick.
Really subtle flavor. Maybe green hands.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
regular tank, but really, really subtle differences.
That you only
That
wear
would
on
be-
St. Patrick's Day.
You only wear on St. Patrick's Day.
And Cartier loves that.
Or on Money Day when you go pick
yeah,
up the money.
money day.
I was with a friend of mine who owns a ton of real estate. He's a really, really old man. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And anyway, we were looking down a street in Brooklyn, and he says, "You know which buildings are mine?" And I said, "No. How would I know that?" And he goes, "Well, they're all the ones with the green awning." And I said, "Oh, really?" He goes, "You know why green?" I said, "No." He goes, "Because they make me fucking money." It's like, okay.
He slaps you for not knowing.
What are you, stupid? Fucking kid.
So yeah, you can get these basically used. Can't really find a new one, but for $5,000. So expensive, but pretty cool.
Retail's under $3,000, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Used, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But a retail quartz Cartier or the Solar Beat
Yeah.
is a great deal.
I think it's actually underpriced.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was too low, basically.
It's one of the watches that I'm surprised to see at that price, especially because they're not doing what they did in the 70s and putting must-stay Cartier.
Yes. I think that, Cartier has an interesting pricing structure because sometimes it's hard to justify their prices,
Yeah. Yep.
You look at, some of these watches like, let's say a Tank Louis, right? Tank Louis, mechanical, whatever. That watch is $12,000 or something like that. right? And then you have basically what is fundamentally the same watch, right? Gold case, like same everything.
Yep.
And in a different design, and it's 20,000, like a Benoit or a Cintre or whatever it might be. And you can't really tell me that it's extra gold, because the gold, what is it, an extra?
Yeah, right.
Is it an extra $700 in gold?
Yeah, right.
$10,000 difference is not justified,
Yeah.
So Cartier prices in a weird way, but these they just really, really hit them right.
You want to see something I'm not going to buy, but I was waiting to send to you because I figured you would buy it instantaneously.
Oh my god!
Do you see that?
It's unbelievable.
Cartier Vintage Tank Chinois 1970.
Yep.
That's insane.
It's unbelievable. So that watch, first of all, Paris style, very cool.
Yeah.
So the Chinois
Did
was...
you swallow your drool?
I did. I swallowed my drool. The Chinois was designed, again, because Cartier took inspiration from the world around them and then integrated them kind of into or rather reimagined them into gold cases. And these were from, I believe, Chinese temples.
Really?
Yeah, that's how the Chinois was. So see the lugs?
Yeah.
That to me is brilliant.
That watch this is a gorgeous watch. It's unreal. Look at that.
That's like the equivalent of a musician, or whatever, a composer hearing pans fall and say that.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna take something from that. I'm gonna make something incredible out of it. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Great. Cartier. Next subject.
Meistersinger, the one-handed watch. You obviously know about it.
I've seen this brand so many times, a million times, but rarely have I ever really taken a close look at it. I used to see them a lot more. I don't know where the fuck they are.
Really?
Yeah. Do you feel the same way?
I have.
No.
Do you mean you saw them in real life?
No, I don't think I've ever seen them in real life.
Same.
But I used to see them on the web more. So I
okay, that I agree.
What?
Because I did have a feeling, my old friend.
Yeah. Look, I haven't seen you, and
oh my god, you look great.
I'm doing really well now.
Yeah.
I'm doing really, really well.
Times sure have changed.
Yeah. You want to walk to the cars together? Where did you park? Because I have a G-Wagon.
Oh yeah. Oh, you parked in the other lot. Oh. I
did that one time. I specifically parked in the most obvious fucking spot at a restaurant, and I wasn't even on a date. I was going out to meet people. It was like old friends, girls, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten my car, and I was like, I think this will be funny.
I think I'll park up front.
Yeah. And then when we all went outside together, I hit the key, and this girl was like, oh. And I was like, oh, no, it's my dad's. She's like, really? I said, no. No, it's mine. I just bought it.
Actually, my dad bought my car used.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I have not seen this brand in a while.
That's why I put it on here, just because I thought, my gut reaction right away was, no way. No way that's functional. And then I just kind of looked at the dial again, and I was like, oh, okay. I know when it's 9:30. I can easily tell if it's 9:15.
Right.
So almost quicker.
Is the idea that... if it's AM or PM and they don't need to differentiate? Is that the point?
Is that the point? Well, yes, that's the point, but also the point is just if you think about it, if you read this way, you may be able to read it quicker.
Oh, wait, hold on. That was a stupid question. All watches are like that.
Oh, you're right.
Moron.
Well, it made sense to me, too.
Absolute idiot. What kind of question
I was like,
that?
yeah, actually, I didn't even think about it that way.
I almost just fell. Wow, that is funny.
But if you when I really was looking at it, I was like, oh, that I could theoretically and probably look at one hand faster and tell you what time it is than two.
Yeah, like a roundabout. I'm not going to tell you it's 9:38, but I'll tell you it's 9:40.
Yeah, I'll tell you 9:38, 9:40, 9:30.
Yeah,
close
exactly.
enough. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
But I will say the execution of the moon phase is okay. It's cartoonish.
Yes, it's just too realistic.
But it's a sick one.
What?
Which is they're actually sending us this watch because we're doing a project for them.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tell you about this yet. I try to space out how often I tell Michael about new projects so he doesn't jump out of a window. So anyway, you're gonna see Michael now on camera learn about one of our next projects. It's not even we have big projects.
Many projects. You killed a meeting today, by the way.
I did kill a meeting today.
God, probably the biggest client I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and the Christopher Ward Moonglow.
Whoa!
Incredibly realistic moon phase. Absolutely adore this watch.
Christopher Ward, I have a long history with.
Do you?
Yep. One of the first watches I got into, one of the first brands.
Really? I had no idea.
When I was seeing a girl at the time, she was in another country, and I got a Christopher Ward GMT.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You bought her one?
No. I got her
Why
Vintage
do you always
Hamilton.
do that? What is wrong?
Keep your money, please.
Dude, put your money in your fucking pocket.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow,
God,
that's
see?
cool.
Isn't that great? So you'll be filming this watch in the next couple of weeks. Well, after
After all the other big watch things we have to do.
Cool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I like this brand a lot. That's just another off the beaten path moon phase that I think is cool.
This is a real quick breakdown though. Meistersinger, 50 meters water resistance, nothing crazy, but ETA movement. So this is something to talk about that's cool, but it's from ETA, so keep that in mind.
Yep.
That this is a moon phase that does not need to be adjusted for 128 years.
Assuming you keep your watch on, which you don't.
which
you
you
need
don't.
a watch winder.
Well, you only have to keep it on for 128 years.
Yeah, not a big deal. Then you could let it rest.
Then it's amazing, yeah. But yeah, I thought that's a nice little quality sign to add in there. Like everybody else kind of rounds up 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 2.9 seconds to 29.5 days. Mm-hmm. They don't, or ETA doesn't, and they pick that move.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very.
The big topic. And then, of course, the next video, part 2, we're going to broaden it up a little bit and talk about current supply chain issues, which are affecting everything. And does that make Rolex and other brands the best investment in the world or the worst? Is it a Tesla 2 years ago or is it Peloton 3 months ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, off the bat, I was reading a little bit. I'll just read these points so we can toss them back and forth if we need to. Rolex doesn't publicly release how many watches they release a year.
Right.
We used to be able to get info because all Rolexes are chronometers, or are they all Cellinis?
Oh, I don't know, but I would imagine so. I would be very surprised if they weren't.
The vast majority of their watches, and basically almost all the popular watches, are chronometers. So you used to be able to look at how many Rolexes were chronometer certified, and that's how you got a good viewpoint of that. Then all these private brands said, hey, we don't want people to know how many watches we produce. Can you not say that?
Right.
So, Chronometry Susi?
Yep. The Institute of Chronometry in Switzerland.
Basically said, okay, sure. So, Rolex says they are not producing more watches. We can estimate they produce like 1 million a year. Mm-hmm. Rolex doesn't want to produce more to sacrifice quality control.
Right.
So, the other things I was reading, which I'll just toss in on the side, what we're usually seeing, everybody wants a steel watch, or they want to go super gold, or super expensive. You can't get either, but steel is obviously more popular than platinum and white gold. So steel is in high demand, but lowest margins. Mm-hmm. So why would you increase that production for Rolex?
Right.
And then another thing I read that was very interesting is women's Rolexes are way, way, way more popular than you would ever expect.
Yes.
Women's Datejust is possibly Rolex's best-selling model.
It's unbelievably popular.
Unbelievably popular. And Rolex basically only goes to ADs. So they're selling to ADs who then in turn have a better market of selling a woman a Rolex and then turning around to a jewelry store and saying you could also get a necklace, earrings, this and this and this and this.
Exactly.
So it really doesn't benefit Rolex to hit the male market as much.
Right.
That's just information I wrote down. What do you think?
So I think the question comes down to, right, if Rolex, let's assume that Rolex was able, which of course is true, but let's assume that Rolex was able to increase their production by, let's say 10%.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And the reason that they would do it, obviously, is because these watches are basically pre-sold. They could produce 10% more watches. They could probably produce 30% more watches, and they would still sell.
That's what the guy said. You okay, great. Each AD has an extra 20 watches. The list is 500 people long.
It's nothing. Exactly right. So the question becomes, just because we can, should we? Right? Again, this is assuming they can, because the answer was quality controls. That would be a reason that they couldn't. But let's assume that they can.
Sure.
Why would or why wouldn't they? Well, why would they? Would be to make more money, both in the near term, immediate cash.
Yep.
But second, more Rolexes on the wrists of more people naturally, right, increases just the company awareness and their success. And every company wants to grow, but it's a question of, is there a rate that is too quick?
Is there a rate that dissolves any allure of a Rolex?
Exactly, and that's the idea, because so much of what they do is sell this, kind of elusiveness.
Yeah.
But the question, it gets a little bit more difficult for me when I think about Rolex over the course of the last 50 years. They were elusive because they were expensive, not because you couldn't get them.
Right.
So, but Rolex has always been elusive. I mean, not always, but Rolex has been elusive for so many years.
For the majority of it, when they were releasing gold Submariners, which has been a very long time now, they were elusive then.
Exactly. So that becomes interesting. So I suppose consumer behavior has changed, because elusive in the 1980s and 1990s just meant, that it was expensive and not everyone had one. right? But elusive now is different, right? Because people are spending more money, so they are on the wrists of more people, and the watches themselves are more commonplace. So Rolex, it's just a different market. They have to limit their supply.
If everybody's going to go for it now.
Exactly.
I'll put it on credit, I'll put it on Affirm or whatever.
Everyone. So now the question becomes, okay, that would be a short-term effect. In the short term, everyone would have one. In theory, that would make these watches less elusive. It would take away some of their allure.
Sure.
But in the long term, is that good for the company to lose this artificial scarcity? Because I think that's what it is. This is a very toxic market.
Yep.
And in 15 years, will they be thanking themselves for kind of returning back to not normal, but a more normal, less, I think, volatile place? That's interesting.
Because what happens, for years, like the guy that, we'll take Rolly for example. How old was he when he got his first Rolex?
40.
The guy that's 40 years old, that his wife wants to go get him a Rolex.
That never happens
again. Or he finally thinks, like, you know what, I can get one. I made it. He can't get one.
Right.
He can't get one on his 40th birthday, his 45th birthday, his 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get something else.
Yeah, you start to lose hope, and that's another byproduct of this elusiveness. All the other brands out there, and I have personal relationships with a ton of these brands. We talk business, and then we hang out, we drink, and they're all saying, yeah, well, this is a good opportunity for the rest of us. People are getting fed up. There's a degree that we like to want what we can't have. To a degree, that's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then to a little bit further degree, people are like, F you, I'm out. Like,
yeah.
Again, it depends on the sort of people we're talking about, of course. But other brands are taking advantage of this. I think it's not lack of interest, but taking advantage of people being fed up.
Well, I did a while ago, before I worked here full time, I edited one podcast with you and a guest.
Yes.
And he said something that I have thought about literally since I edited it that day, which is when a customer walks into a store and you don't have what they want, that momentum that got them into the store is very, very, very hard to redirect. Because they came in, they wanted that Rolex, it's not there.
Yes.
Like, I can't imagine your family and Rolly walking in on his 40th birthday to any boutique and it not being there.
Right.
You're like, can we go to another boutique? And they're like, no, sorry.
You're right. But the idea is, okay, take this my dad example, right?
Yeah.
But my dad wouldn't walk into the Rolex boutique looking for the Rolex. His attention would have, in theory, been diverted months ago or years ago digitally. Right? Once you get into the boutique, the decision is, by and large, kind of made. Now it's a decision of, am I going to buy or am I not? But so far as which watch, you pretty much know.
Yeah, right.
Brands, let's say it's Zenith, brands like Omega, brands like whatever, all these brands, JLC.
Yep.
Not JLC, I don't think they're doing a great job of trying to take back market share, with all due respect. I love JLC, but they're not really doing a great job of trying to But those brands are actively saying, okay, how on the internet, on grabbing people's attention, how do we convince people that they already know you're not getting a Rolex, and frankly, you shouldn't even want one anyway, because these are way better, or these are way more interesting.
Yeah, right. Look at them; they're stealing from you.
Exactly.
They know they can fix the gray market. They're just not
exactly.
That hurts the brand a ton.
If I was a salesperson, at any of these companies, what did we just say? We said Zenith, we said Omega, whatever, and both companies are doing a great job. But the first thing you try to be is you're not the cheaper Rolex. You have an independent, individual identity, and my kind of attitude in a really polite way would be, if you want to go get, I would use the term, I couldn't use this in a sales sense, but I'm using it in a guy tag. So
sure.
If you want to go get, jerked off by some salesman, go over there, meaning
yeah, of course.
Like jerked around, I suppose would be a better term. Like, if you want to get jerked around by a salesman, go over there. But we're talking about watches.
The watches are here. Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Go have fun.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird place.
So the only other counter thing is, which then I'll actually see the final answer, yes or no, are they producing scarcity? Yeah. But the only risk I can see, which leans into part 2 about this a little bit, is, does Rolex have, which I don't think they do they have a little bit of fear that if they ramp up production and they invest more into production, and this watch hype dies down in 5 years, did they make a big mistake?
I think that Rolex will have made a big mistake if Rolex, in 5 years, Rolex will look back, or 10 years, 15 years, will look back and realize they made a very large mistake if they didn't take advantage of this hype,
This moment.
not to sell more subs, not to sell more day dates, but to add another facet to their brand, add another product offering, to seize this moment. It's extremely hard to introduce new product. I mean, you look at brands; they have an impossible time doing it. It's really, really difficult to create need. For a new thing, it's hard.
Yeah.
The Submariner has been working on it since 1953. And you're going to start from new. Look at the Cellini. That's a great example, right? The Cellini line has, as far as I'm concerned, is basically pretty much a failure, right?
Yep.
They're incredible watches. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
But Rolex still manufactures them for whatever reason, even though they don't really sell and no one wants one.
Usually they're not even really in ADs, or they're the only thing.
They're
in
the only
AD.
thing in the AD.
Yeah, right.
So to me, that's an oversight, right?
Yeah.
If Rolex is looking at long-term brand building, to me, it's an oversight that they haven't been able to create a tremendous need for the Cellini. And that could be in part because the product itself, the Cellini itself, needs to be tweaked, right? A little bit more toward...
It's the only watch not in Rolex's DNA.
Right. It's not odd because there's no oysters, none of that.
Yeah, right.
But the Cellini should be killing it right now. Because that's the proof that would prove that it's not just the Submariner, it's the brand itself can move anything right now.
Right.
They should use this opportunity to really build out that line or another line that is important to them, that they're interested in growing out into being a more of a mainstay, more of a long-term, desirable thing.
Yeah, right.
That's what they should be doing.
So, final answer. Is Rolex producing scarcity
Yes.
now? Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think worse than that, yes, the answer is yes.
Yep.
And also, there's no centralized, database for sending, approving clients. None. An AD in Westchester has no idea if an AD in Atlantic City already allocated you a watch, and it's creating a disaster. It's playing a large role in this bubble. The watches are going to the wrong people. They're going to flippers.
Immediately on any other website for 3, 4, 5 times the price, even more.
And some of you guys out there that I know and love you, I love you, blah 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 blah. But the fact that you got that watch was a mistake. That is a corporate mistake. Period. Rolex should be fixing that.
Well, you look at asking the chronometer company. I don't know the official name. I sound like an idiot. But the company to say, please don't show how many watches we're producing.
Right.
And then on top of that, shortly after, randomizing serials.
Right.
There's a purpose to it all.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
And if it was always like 500,000 to 1 million watches, fluctuating whatever it may be, and then the watch market changed, that's a leg up, not oh geez, we better catch up so we can hit our profits better.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, these are difficult executive decisions by the brand. Like, this is, it's like, there also are hard questions in tremendous success. You know what I mean? Like, when you're succeeding to that level, like, your job is still, like, you're really thinking. Like, it's a lot of thinking to be done. How do we not waste this moment?
Yeah, right.
That's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Okay, so part 2 of this conversation continues in a couple of days.
Yes, and that is about, Rolex will obviously come up, but supply chain issues and the effect of watch pricing right now. Because there's no coincidence that watch prices are exploding.
Yes.
They're not going up. That's, of course, expected in this market anyways. But exploding, and how supply chain issues can kind of meld with that, and if that's going to make you a very rich person if you're buying to invest.
Yes.
Or if that's going to kill you if all of a sudden certain things happen.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that next week.
All right. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching.
Goodbye.